Hi everyone, and welcome back to the NWR Virtual Investor Conference Series 11. I'm your host today, Banjo Blake, and joining me now is Matt Fahey from Vonex. Vonex is a full-service, award-winning telecommunications service provider selling mobile, internet, traditional fixed lines, infrastructure solutions, and hosted PBX and VoIP services, predominantly to small to medium enterprise customers under the Vonex brand. The company also provides wholesale customers, such as internet service providers, access to new technologies at wholesale rates via a white label model. Matt has served on the board of directors of Vonex, joining the firm in 2013. And I'll now hand over to Matt, and thanks for joining me, and take it away when you're ready.
Thanks, Banjo. That's a kind intro, and thanks everybody for joining us today. What I'll do is I'll give you an overview of the Vonex business, a snapshot of the progress we've made, where we intend to go from here, and then I'll open for some questions at the end. So Vonex is a software development business that innovates voice software solutions in the telecommunications industry, and that underpins our products that we sell to direct customers, and it also enables us to supply custom and bespoke solutions to carriers within the industry. If you think about typically business communications, which is our target market, historically you need a carrier to supply phone numbers and phone lines, and you need a hardware supplier to supply the phone system part. Now, with the introduction of software into small business, virtualization of many things now, the telecommunications industry is starting to see a competitive landscape where we see software providers and where we see carriers and hardware providers in the traditional sense. And what Vonex has been able to do with their expertise at a network level is bring all of those things together. So the Vonex solution incorporates all of those pieces. They're not separately from different suppliers. And the best part is that we are able to supply a very scalable and remote controlled solution to our end customers. So hardware is no longer the subject of a technician attending site at great cost to the customers. We can actually manage all of that inside our network environment. What do we do with this? Well, the software underpins the phone system. So our phone system customers enjoy the luxury of reduced costs. They enjoy the luxury of greater redundancy, higher feature sets, bulletproof reliability, and infinite scalability. And those phone systems essentially now are software driven rather than hardware driven. But being a telecommunications specialist, we've expanded beyond the voice, and we're able to supply an entire product range to those SME business customers. Now, that's our target market under the Vonex Telecom brand. The SME customers typically are an underserved audience. The large carriers don't seem to have perfected the way to meet their service demands in a satisfactory way in the customer's eyes. And one of the things Vonex has concentrated on doing over the last decade is partnering with hundreds of partners around the country who promote our brand locally in the local communities to those SME businesses. And that's translated into a very successful growth profile for the company. On top of the direct customers, we also sell solutions via our wholesale arm. This is sold under the 2SG Wholesale brand, post the acquisition of 2SG Wholesale in 2020, and we supply a whole range of telecommunications and internet offers, as well as specialist voice applications to typically other carriers in the market that go to market under their own brand. Along the way, we have also collected some residential customers, and we continue to maintain those. But the core focus under the retail brand is the SME business. This is what we look like at the last reporting period for the half year of FY22. So these are statutory results. Some key metrics from that are showing terrific signs financially in the underlying business, net operating cash flow, strong EBITDA performance, and a very strong annualized recurring revenue profile, which is growing, and a valuation of the business at that point of just upwards of 30 million. If I drill into the revenues a little bit closer, so you can see where they're coming from within the group, you can see the expertise that exists within this voice element coming from those SME customers. It's generating 5% of our revenues today, and you can see from the colours on the graph just how much is derived from that from those voice applications we deliver. You'll note a different spread in the wholesale business. 32% of the group's revenue comes from selling to wholesale partners. You'll see a more even spread of products here, and the reason for that is because the 2SG business that we bought in 2020 was an internet specialist and a mobile broadband specialist. So what we're starting to see now the introduction of voice into that business, which was a key opportunity for us when we purchased it, and the revenue starting to shift into that voice category too. The demand for what we do is terrific. Australia's been triggered by a national broadband rollout, fibre optic wholesale backbone network to replace the incumbent carriers and their copper phone lines. So that's sort of driving this growth of forecasts are that this compound annual growth rate in this country over the next 5 years is going to be just shy of 20%. So there's certainly terrific demand in the market for what we're delivering. The Vonex business is performing exceptionally to that with a strategy of organic and acquisition growth. We're currently seeing more than 3 times that growth rate over the period of the last 3 years. And what that's doing for us is building an extremely strong annual reoccurring revenue profile, which is now just broken through the 35 million bracket annually. Obviously, this growth is being driven by acquisition, and that's certainly helping us accelerate that growth scope. Indeed, in the last 12 months or so, we've acquired 3 different businesses. And this slide gives you an idea of the sort of uplift that each of those acquisitions gave to the group. They're very strategic in nature. The Nextel business is a very technically clever business that provides us infrastructure solutions for medium and larger businesses where fibre optic cable runs and various sort of specialist application projects are required. The M&F business we brought last August was a very exciting moment for the Vonex business. Extraordinary transformation in terms of scale. We at the time had less than 3,500 customers. We bought 5,000 new business customers, and we saw virtually a doubling in our annual revenue, and a huge increase in the number of active users. Again, almost doubling the active users in that single transaction. And then we acquired a business called Voitech in January of this year. Voitech is again a voice business, as was the M&F MyNet Phone Direct business. Voitech enabled us to expand into the South Australian market where Vonex previously had no presence. So an uplift in customers, an uplift in end users, an uplift in profitable revenue, and a new geographic market opened up all in that transaction. And as we sort of walk through this acquisition journey that we intend to continue on, it's providing some great synergy opportunities for us. And this is one I just wanted to share with you today, which comes from the MyNet Phone Direct business. This shows the difference in the way the customers spend money with the Vonex brand prior to the acquisition of the MyNet Phone Direct business, and what the base looks like that we bought. And what the slide is showing you is 90% of the Vonex customers currently buy a voice service, 18% buy a mobile service, and 56% buy an internet service from us. And that's just a natural proportion of customer subscription based on the way that we've gone to market through those partners and met the needs of those SME customers. What we saw when we bought the direct business was only 82% bought a voice product, 4% bought mobile, and only 27% bought an internet service. So there's an immediate opportunity for us post the migration, which I'll get to in a second, once we complete the migration of the customers, to embark on a strategy to cross-sell to those customers and equalize those percentages. And in doing so, that'll drive both organic growth for the business, which is important, and the value of ARPU as a synergy of the transaction. Still on the subject of acquisition, I think it's important to state how committed we are to integrate the businesses properly. We're not here to buy businesses and then just move on to buy the next one. We want to properly integrate them at all levels, including the brand, including products, including staff, including finance, including the back-end systems, and the Nextel and 2SG acquisitions, 2SG in 2020, Nextel in early 21, are both fully integrated. You'll see here that the MyNet Phone Direct business is part integrated. That's a very large migration of customers that we stated at the time would take 9 months from commencement to migrate. We're on track with that. And that 9 months is will bring us to July this year, where we expect to see the migration of those customers complete. And the VoIP business that, now that we've sort of bought 4 companies, and assuming that we're successful with another, that'll be our 5th acquisition. We're starting to get very accomplished in terms of how we handle them and how we integrate them, and how we extract synergies out of them. So you can see the speed at which we can integrate the VoIP business that was bought just in January this year. That'll be complete by end of financial year. Back to the half year sort of statutory position. There's the financial highlights from there. The revenue's growing. The annual recurring revenue, as I said, was strong. The underlying EBITDA is in a very strong position at the half year. But I think importantly, what I wanted to make note of today is there's a quick health check for a business that's making a lot of acquisitions in quick succession. We can see that our growth profile is not reliant on just acquisitions. Obviously, it's being accelerated by acquisitions. We've got a very strong underlying organic growth profile across both the retail and the wholesale businesses. I would make note of the fact that organic growth rate, whilst it's in double digits, would traditionally be a little bit higher than where it is there, and the reason for that's expected to be where it is right now because of the nature of the migration of the direct business from MyNet Phone. There's a colossal workload going on there to migrate 5,000 customers across. So once we get to July 22 and we embark on the FY23 strategies of cross-sell, we expect to see the organic growth rates rising for the group again. And indeed, if I go from the half year and start to look at the period that ends March 22, which is a quarterly snapshot of the progress of the business, there's some very important milestones starting to appear here. Not only are we seeing, 3 times the number of customers that we serviced under the Vonex Telecom brand this time last year, we're seeing terrific organic growth rates in the wholesale business, both in those internet and mobile broadband products, as well as the voice and PBX introduction that I talked about previously. But we've also seen the $10 million quarterly revenue broken for the first time in the company's history. And we've also seen 100,000 daily active PBX users on the company's PBX software platform for the first time. So the outlook as we go forward is to continue to capitalize on the opportunities, both organically and via acquisition. We intend to continue to act with a disciplined approach to acquisition. We still have TCA advisors who are mandated as our M&A partners to help us seek out suitable targets that will fit the profile of profitable IT and telecommunications style businesses. We're looking for further expansion into geographic markets. We're looking for key people. We're looking for product diversity. With 20,000 customers on our books now, new products are a very appealing part of the acquisition journey as we go forward. But we intend to be ongoing and proactive with those acquisitions, and the company is backed with a board of directors that has a great diversity and skill sets, both in ASX listed companies, ASX compliance, legal, financial, and telecommunications across the various skill sets there. And on that note, I'll say thank you for listening, and I'll open up for any questions that are out there.
Thanks a lot for that presentation, Matt. It was great to get a bit of an insight into how your acquisition of VoIP in particular has helped you break into the South Australian market. On the topic of M&A, what type of companies are in your M&A pipeline? Is the average profile closest to any of 2SG, Nextel, VoIP, or M&F?
I think the M&F direct business and the VoIP business are very attractive businesses for us to continue to approach, given that they've got an element of voice focus, which is our specialist skill set. We carry an advantage in terms of bringing those customers over in a smooth and seamless way with any migrations that are required due to the virtually 2 decades of IP depth that exists in the voice engineering teams within the business. So certainly that type of business is on our radar, and either businesses that enable us to cross-sell additional products or businesses that bring a new product into the group.
How different should the company's growth profile look in the coming financial year with a full year's contribution from a fully integrated M&F direct business and VoIP?
Yeah, so the sort of figures that we're putting out at the moment with our $10 million revenue quarter incorporates those businesses. And that was really the purpose of showing that quarter, just to show the progress that we're making by bringing those businesses into the group. So that run rate of revenue gives you an idea on an annualized basis. The 3.3 million at the half year was a snapshot which incorporated the VoIP acquisition. So that sort of translates into 6.6 for the full year. But of course, that doesn't include any further acquisition that's fully intended in FY23.
How far into the Australian PBX market have you penetrated 100,000 subscriptions? And from a potential customer's perspective, what is your key differentiator versus your peers?
Yeah, so the Australian SME market, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, has 1.3 million SME customers that we'd be principally interested in. It has 800,000 SME classified customers that are smaller and more home-based with few or no employees that would be less of a target for us. So 1.3 million is the market. The revenue pool from SME is close to 8 billion annually. So in perspective, we've penetrated very little at this stage, but we've got the capability to certainly penetrate that market. The key differentiator for Vonex over our peers is really as the telecommunications industry starts to see the adoption of software. And what I mean by that is you could download some software onto a desktop PC, or you could download software onto a mobile phone, and it could enable you to communicate with other people. And you could use that for business purposes. Those software providers in the competitive landscape typically aren't telecommunications companies. The SME needs a full solution. They need internet connection, they need mobile, they need phone numbers, they need phone calls, they need software-based communication platforms like our hosted PBX configured to their exact requirements, and they need that managed. And if that needs to be managed in 4 or 5 different directions because there are 4 or 5 different vendors involved, that's a very messy solution for an SME. So Vonex's advantage is that we draw all of those things, the legacy carriage, the hardware, and the software into the complete solution under one brand and one point of contact for the customer.
Thanks for that insight, Matt. And that is all the time we have today. Appreciate your time and thanks a lot. All the best for the future.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.